Paul Lukas joins us, uniform columnist for ESPN.com here on 104.5 The Team ESPN Radio in Albany. Good morning, Paul.
Hey, man. How are you?
I'm good. Chris Sale cuts up the White Sox uniform. Explain to us the uniform. Did it deserve to be cut up, and how bizarre of a story has this turned out to be?
This is definitely a weird one. You know, there are athletes out there who really like their uniform or really dislike their uniform, but I've never heard of an athlete going all Edward Scissorhands on his uniform. And the uniform we're talking about, it debuted in 1976. The White Sox first wore it then, and it is definitely one of the more unusual uniforms in Major League Baseball history. It's the only Major League Baseball uniform that was ever designed to be worn with an untucked jersey. So it's got this big billowy jersey that was worn untucked over the waistband of the pants, and then it had this big floppy collar that a lot of people call a disco collar, and some people call the jersey the leisure suit jersey. So it was pretty unusual looking when it was first worn. People ridiculed it back then. They haven't really stopped poking fun at it in the 4 decades since. The White Sox did wear it for 5 seasons, 76, 77, 78, 79, and 80. And then they have worn it before as a throwback. This was not the first time that they've worn it as a throwback. Chris Sale presumably wore it in a previous game, but he did not pitch in that game. So I guess he felt it just wasn't the kind of thing he wanted to be wearing out there on the mound.
My thing is, well, first of all, how many jerseys do you know? How many cut up?
Oh, how many did he cut up?
Yeah, I mean,
that is unconfirmed. And right now, nothing has actually been confirmed. There are, there's unnamed sources quoted by various reporters who have said that Sale took a knife, or some say a scissors, to the jerseys. Some say he didn't like how it looked. Some say he didn't like the collar. They didn't like how it felt. But I have not heard a definitive, confirmed account of exactly what happened or how many jerseys he cut up. But I did hear it was more than just his own. Like, he cut his jersey and several of his teammates. I don't know if it was all the teammates. The White Sox have simply acknowledged that there was a clubhouse incident and some destruction of team property, as they put it. But they haven't given any further details than that.
Paul Lukas, uniform columnist for ESPN.com. My thing is, that's really not Chris Sale's call. I mean, this is marketing, sales, management, ownership that they want to do the uniform thing. I mean, he's just responsible for going out there and pitch. I mean, I don't get why.
Absolutely. It was really unprofessional on his part that you're supposed to wear whatever they put in your locker, whether you like it or not. Chris Sale went through the minor leagues just like every other player. And if you look at what they wear in the minor leagues, every other day some team is doing this wacky Star Wars promotion, or they're wearing Jimmy Buffett style jerseys, or, these crazy theme nights, Seinfeld jerseys, whatever. And there are, I guarantee you that over the weekend there were minor league players wearing things a lot more ridiculous than those White Sox throwbacks. And maybe Chris Sale feels like he paid his dues in the minors and he doesn't have to do that anymore. But the reality is, you got to wear what they put in your locker, whether you like it or not. Whether that means the pink Mother's Day uniform or the camouflage jersey, even if you may have some issues with that, you wear what they put in front of your locker, you go out and you do your job.
So, Paul, we've been taking calls on some of the worst uniforms of all time. I've got my bet for the Broncos AFL jerseys, the mustard colored with the brown pants. So for your sake, give us some examples of some jerseys that do deserve to be cut up, never to be worn again.
I think it was that Broncos uniform. What really sealed it for a lot of people is not just the color scheme that you mentioned, but they had the vertically striped socks,
yes,
which had never been worn before, and I don't think have ever been worn since. But thinking specifically about baseball, some of the ones that come to mind would be the first uniforms, the inaugural uniforms worn by the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. They had that sort of rainbow gradation across the chest, and that really looked like a clown suit. The 1999 futuristic or turn ahead the clock uniforms that were worn in Major League Baseball, that was also a real stinker. I think some of the uniforms being worn right now by the Arizona Diamondbacks are going to go down as some of the worst in baseball history. Not a good look. Maybe if we look back at the sort of graphite road uniforms worn by the Toronto Blue Jays in the mid-2000s, better forgotten, and maybe better if someone had taken a knife or scissors to those. So there's certainly, plenty of examples of bad uniforms. I don't know, if they really deserve to go under the knife, but things that might have been better off left on the drawing board.
Paul, you're a Met fan. I know a lot of your staff is Met fans. I was in Cooperstown yesterday for the Mike Piazza induction. I am partial to, I think it was 97, the Bernard Gilkey Met uniforms with the white ice cream man hats. What's your best Met uniform combo?
I'm sort of a classicist when it comes to the Mets. I really like their basic pinstripe home jersey. I feel like they got it right the first time and haven't changed much, or they changed a little and then changed back. They added black drop shadows and things like that, and then they went back to their classic look. And I think in most cases the classics become classics for a reason, and I think the Mets uniform is certainly an example of that. I love their basic pinstripe uniform. That white cap, which was introduced in 1997, you call it the Gilkey era because there is that famous promo shot they issued of Bernard Gilkey. If you Google Mets ice cream cap or white cap, that's the photo that comes up. They only wore that a handful of times. I would say like 3 or 4 times in early 1997, and then didn't wear it again. And that was when a few teams were experimenting with white caps and gray caps as well. If you remember, the Pirates and the Royals, I believe, had some gray caps as alternate caps, and that kind of looked a little plain and a little drab. But it's when someone immediately calls something the ice cream man cap or the good humor cap, like the day after it's unveiled, you're off on the wrong foot there.
Paul Lukas with us, uniform columnist, ESPN.com, and the Chris Sale story. All right, so what's going to happen to Chris Sale? I mean, it goes away for 5 days. How really upset is ownership on this? I mean, are they going to try to trade him? I mean, what are the fans saying? I mean, what's the next step in this story? And I wonder if Chris Sale actually get in front of the cameras and have something to say when he returns.
I would love it if he would actually, own up to what he did and say something about it, and then either confirm or deny or whatever, and just, sort of be a man about it and say, and if he has issues, if he says, if he apparently said something about how he thinks the team cares more about selling jerseys than putting a winning team out on the field, okay, then let's talk about that. That's a legitimate issue, but don't just hide behind your 5-game suspension and come back and pretend nothing ever happened. I don't think they would ever trade him over this specific incident. It seems like it might be one incident among several in terms of his relationship with the front office. We're coming up on the 40th anniversary of when the White Sox wore their shorts, which was that same leisure suit jersey paired with Bermuda shorts, which they wore 3 times in 1976. Some people mistakenly think they did it for a whole year, but it was really only for 3 games. So I say to Chris Sale, it could have been a lot worse. They could have had the shorts out in your locker, and maybe they should. 40th anniversary coming up. What a perfect opportunity to bring back the shorts as a throwback. And, could we make that, maybe time it to coincide with Chris Sale's turn in the rotation? I think that would be pretty great.
Hey, Paul, a lot of New York Giant fans up here in the Capital Region. Giants going with the white pants now at home, ditching the grays at home. They did it twice last year. Your thoughts on that move for Big Blue?
I actually love that move. I have always thought that the gray pants look a little too drab, a little too sort of cloudy day, if you will. And there's something about the white pants that I think looks a little crisper. I loved when they brought those white pants in as an alternate and wore them for a couple of games a season, which they've done now for, I think, 3 years. And when I heard they're going to make those the full-time home pants, I was really pleased. So I give that the thumbs up. They're going to keep the gray pants for the road games, of course.
I think much is being made about uniforms. Just go. I want to see results on the field here.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying?
Uniforms are great.
There's room for all of that. Nobody's saying uniforms are more important than what goes on the field, but there's room to discuss all of it.
Paul, Rogers was making fun of me. I've got a hat of every Major League Baseball team. It took me a long time to complete that collection. I've got that gray Royals hat with the royal blue bill. I've got every Mariners hat ever worn in a game. I am all in on hats and uniforms, so don't let Roger bring it down.
I know. I'm a coach of Little League Baseball. We spend an awful lot of time when we get to All-Stars. Hey, what's the look gonna be? What's the look? Do you like the gray? Do you like the white? We pass it around at the board meeting to see, what we like and what we don't like. So I guess even Paul, all the way down to 8, 9, 10-year-old, we're very concerned about how we're going to look on the field.
Sure. I played Little League. Did you play Little League? I did, and I remember I cared a lot, about how I looked out there, and I remember how excited I was to get that uniform. And I think a lot of kids, whether it's Little League or Cub Scouts or whatever it is, whatever your first uniform is, it makes you feel very official. It makes you feel like you've kind of achieved some status, and I think that makes a big impression on a kid. And I know a lot of Little League coaches they are aware of that, and they tell the kid, wear your uniform the right way, take pride in how you look, and I think that's something that often makes a big impression on a kid.
Feel good, Roger.
My son in particular likes the fact that the name is on the back of the jersey in all caps. It's not just Weiland. It's like Weiland, every letter capitalized. Looking good.
Wait, they've got the kids' names on the back of the, for 9-year-olds?
Yeah, 9-year-old All-Stars, the name is on the back.
Wow, I got to say that we didn't have that when I was a kid, but then even in the pros when I was a kid, they hadn't. Well, not all the teams had the names on the back yet. So yeah, again, that makes you feel official. That makes you feel like you've made it. And if you're an all-star, why not?
Paul, it's come a long way because when I was 9 years old, we were wearing Realty USA on the back of our jerseys.
right, like Chico's bail bonds in the Bad News Bears. Exactly.
Hey, good stuff, Paul. Thanks for a few minutes. We'll see how this Chris Sale story plays out.
All right, man. Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
me on.
Appreciate it, Paul Lukas, uniform columnist for ESPN.